Good morning. Hi everyone. Okay, here is a poem that I wrote which was done recently, and it is titled A Story. I wrote it on 14th March actually when I was traveling in a train. As usual, I respond to political events through writing poetry. So here is a short one. It's titled, as I said, A Story. Let me tell you a story of hate and betrayal. Maybe you will refute it, maybe you will listen. It is not just my story, it is yours too, if I am yours, but time will tell, time will tell. You buy a coconut and you bring it with you to your house. I help to grate it, first chopping off the scrawny jutting head. You turn to stop me saying, don't. I stop, confused, a questioning look on my face. You look at me and say nothing for a second, and then add, that is not done in our houses. They do it, we don't. I do it, maybe I am they. Then who am I if I do it? I ask myself and keep it to myself. Because I know they do not hear, as I walk about feeling that I belong, when in reality I do not. Do you belong here as you belong elsewhere? I want to ask, never did, but do it now. The story has been told in many ways, is still told in different ways. You don't listen to it, never have. We tell ours again and again. Tired of doing it in different ways, we don't stop. Sometimes it's the hijab, sometimes a cross on the hill, sometimes a report, at times it's a movie or a story. We try telling it again and again. The echo resonated here and far away. Thank you.
ಪದ್ಯದ ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆ ಕಮೂನ ಅಮ್ಮ ಕಾಫ್ಕಾನ ಅಪ್ಪ. ಮಾತಿಲ್ಲ ಕಥೆಯಿಲ್ಲ, ಮುದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಸಿಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೊಡೆಯಲ್ಲ ಹೊಗಳಲ್ಲ ಕಮೂನ ಅಮ್ಮ. ಬಟ್ಟೆ ಒಗೆದಾಯಿತು, ಪಾತ್ರೆ ತೊಳೆದಾಯಿತು, ಕಿಟಕಿ ಬಳಿ ಕೂತಾಯಿತು, ಶೂನ್ಯ ಮನಸ್ಸಾಯಿತು. ಅಪ್ಪ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅಮ್ಮ ಮಾತಾಡಲ್ಲ, ನೋಡಿದರೂ ನೋಡಲ್ಲ. ದುಃಖದ ಸುಖ ಕುಡಿಯುವುದು ಸ್ವಾರ್ಥವೇ ಎಂಬ ಅರಿವಿಲ್ಲ. ದುಃಖದ ಸುಖ ಕುಡಿಯುವುದು ಸ್ವಾರ್ಥವೇ ಎಂಬ ಅರಿವಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಮ್ಮನ ಕಣ್ಣು ನೋಡಿ ಕಂದ, ಕಣ್ಣು ನೋಡಿದೆಡೆಗೂ ನೋಡಿ, ಅಮ್ಮನಿಲ್ಲದ ಅಪ್ಪನಿಲ್ಲದ ಅರ್ಥವಿಲ್ಲದ ನೀರಿಲ್ಲದ ಬಾವಿ ಕಂಡ. ದುಮ್ಮಿಕ್ಕುವ ಜಲಪಾತ ಕಾಫ್ಕಾನ ಅಪ್ಪ. ಅದೇ ಸದ್ದು, ಅದೇ ಹೊಡೆತ, ನೋವೇ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗದಷ್ಟು ಜೋರಿನ ಹೊಡೆತ, ಮಾತಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಅತೀ ಅರ್ಥ. ಎದ್ದೊಡನೆ ಪಾಠ ಶುರು, ಬಂದೊಡನೆ ಹುಡುಕುವ ಕಣ್ಣುಗಳು, ಇರುವ ಹಾಗಿರಲು ಬಿಡದ ತಿದ್ದಿ ತೀಡುವ ಚಟದ ಅಪ್ಪ. ಇರುವ ಹಾಗಿರಲು ಬಿಡದ ತಿದ್ದಿ ತೀಡುವ ಚಟದ ಅಪ್ಪ. ಕಾಫ್ಕಾಗೆ ಕಾಣುವುದು ಅಪ್ಪನ ಕಣ್ಣೇ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದರೂ ಅದೇ ಕಣ್ಣು. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರಲ್ಲಿ, ಪ್ರೇಯಸಿಯರಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಮ್ಮನಲ್ಲಿ, ತನ್ನ ಎದುರಿನ ಕನ್ನಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದರೂ ಕಾಫ್ಕಾ ಕಾಣುವುದು ಜಗತ್ತನ್ನೇ ಹಬ್ಬಿರುವ ಅಪ್ಪನ ಕಣ್ಗಳನ್ನು. ಕೇಳುವುದು ಕಿವಿ ತುಂಬ ಅರ್ಥವಿಲ್ಲದ ಜಲಪಾತದ ದಬ ಸದ್ದನ್ನು. ಮಾತಾಡದ ಅಮ್ಮ, ಅತಿ ಮಾತಾಡುವ ಅಪ್ಪ. ಕಾರ್ಯಕಾರಣ ಹುಡುಕುವ ಚಾಳಿ. ಅಸಂಗತದಲ್ಲೂ ಸುಸಂಬದ್ಧತೆಯ ಭ್ರಮೆ, ಅಸಂಗತದಲ್ಲೂ ಸುಸಂಬದ್ಧತೆಯ ಭ್ರಮೆ. ಕಮೂಗೆ, ಕಾಫ್ಕಾಗೆ, ನನಗೆ, ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
This poem is titled Song of the River. So sang the river lover. Every land should have a river. The river of hope, the river of desire. To water our dreams and wash our hurt, our anger, our dejection and our passion, the blue river of courage. The river of my soul where it meets other worlds. In it the sun, moon and the stars and a few winged trees. The river of innocence that holds my face moon bright in her self-knowledge, like the fish that darts across like the flash of a knife. Among the pliant weeds, a river to etch fate lines on salt-laden smooth shells that the burden of our backs. a river to connect to our well springs, our mother, woman of our dreams, where all lands turn green, a river for the young and the old, men and women, black and white, a river for all creatures on this earth, a river to meet. That's all.
In memory of W.B. Yeats by W.H. Auden. He disappeared in the dead of winter. The brooks were frozen, the airports almost deserted, and snow disfigured the public statues. The mercury sank in the mouth of the dying day. Oh, all the instruments agree, the day of his death was a dark, cold day. Far from his illness, the wolves ran on through the evergreen forests. The peasant river was untempted by the fashionable keys, by mourning tongues. The death of the poet was kept from his poems. But for him, it was his last afternoon as himself. An afternoon of nurses and rumors. The provinces of his body revolted. The squares of his mind were empty. Silence invaded the suburbs. The current of his feeling failed. He became his admirers. Now he is scattered among 100 cities and wholly given over to unfamiliar affections. To find his happiness in another kind of wood and be punished under a foreign code of conscience. The words of a dead man are modified in the guts of the living. But in the importance and noise of tomorrow, when the brokers are roaring like beasts on the floor of the boors, and the poor have the suffering to which they are fairly accustomed, and each in the cell of himself is almost convinced of his freedom. A few thousand will think of this day as one thinks of a day when one did something slightly unusual. Oh, all the instruments agree. The day of his death was a dark, cold day. You are silly like us. Your gift survived it all. The parish of rich women, physical decay, yourself. Mad Ireland hurt you into poetry. Now Ireland has a madness and her weather still, for poetry makes nothing happen. It survives in the valley of its saying, where executives would never want to tamper. It flows south from ranches of isolation and the busy grapes, raw towns that we believe and die in. It survives, a way of happening, a mouth. Earth, receive an honored guest. William Yeats is laid to rest. Let the Irish vessel lie emptied of its poetry. Time that is intolerant of the brave and innocent, and indifferent in a weak to a beautiful physic. Worships language and forgives everyone by whom it lives. Pardons cowardice, conceit, lays its honors at their feet. Time that with this strange excuse pardoned Kipling and his views, and will pardon Paul Claudel, pardons him for writing well. In the nightmare of the dark, all the dogs of Europe bark, and the living nations wait, each sequestered in its hate. Intellectual disgrace stays from every human face, and the seas of pity lie locked and frozen in each eye. Follow, poet, follow right, to the bottom of the night. With your unconstraining voice, still persuade us to rejoice. With the forming of a verse, make a vineyard of the curse, sing of human unsuccess, in a rapture of distress. In the deserts of the heart, let the healing fountain start. In the prison of his days, teach the free man how to praise.